Well, I mean, we had some those conversations that we did have, and in particular, the conversations I had one on one with Minister Robertson was very, I'll say, I'm cautiously optimistic on some of the, uh, the commentary and conversation I had with him. We talked a lot about the need for the federal government to respect the provincial autonomy when it comes to making decisions where the province is concerned and where our municipalities are concerned within the provincial jurisdiction. We want to maintain that relationship where we're co-funding a lot of infrastructure programs within the province, and want to make sure that we have this long-term sustainability of those programs is still available to communities going forward.
Welcome to Municipal Affairs. On today's episode, we sit down for an exclusive one-on-one interview with Saskatchewan's Minister of Government Relations, Eric Schmalz. Fresh off a recent trip to New Brunswick, Minister Schmalz met with counterparts from across the country to discuss pressing municipal local issues, from housing to infrastructure needs to rural development and intergovernmental collaboration. As Saskatchewan continues to grow, both urban and rural municipalities are facing a new wave of challenges. Everything from managing growth in fast developing areas to ensuring services in smaller communities remain strong and sustainable. We'll talk with Minister Schmalz about how the Mo government is working to support municipalities across the province and what role collaboration plays in building a stronger, more resilient Saskatchewan. So stay with us as our conversation with Minister Schmalz begins now. Minister, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I want to start because it seems like almost a year, but it has only been about 3 months since we last spoke to each other. And that was that budget 2025 in Regina. But I want to start with the most recent travel itinerary that you had, and that was going off to New Brunswick and St. John, where you met with your counterparts across the country and the Federal Minister of Housing and Communities, Gregor Roberts. What did you hear from that meeting in St. John, New Brunswick?
Well, good to be with you, Chris, again. And yeah, it feels like it's been a year, probably because there's been a year's worth of stuff going on in the last 3 months. Uh, it was a great meeting. We were able to connect. Obviously, St. John's, we traveled out there. It was a bit of a journey to get there and have those conversations. But in the meetings leading up to the main meeting with the ministers, we had a lot of frank and honest discussions on Saskatchewan's position on infrastructure for municipalities and our the challenges being faced by both our large urbans and our small urbans as well as the rural areas in our province. Those conversations continued into the ministers' meetings. Those ministers, one thing I learned in those meetings is that the challenges that we're facing here in Saskatchewan are not unique to Saskatchewan. They're happening across the country, not even the prairies. It's out on the East Coast. It's everywhere.
Do you have hope that this partnership between yourself and the other ministers, but alongside the federal minister, can help address some of those infrastructure issues that you just mentioned?
Well, I mean, we had some those conversations that we did have, and in particular, the conversations I had one on one with Minister Robertson was very, I'll say, I'm cautiously optimistic on some of the commentary and conversation I had with him. We talked a lot about the need for the federal government to respect the provincial autonomy when it comes to making decisions where the province is concerned and where our municipalities are concerned within the provincial jurisdiction. We want to maintain that relationship where we're co-funding a lot of infrastructure programs within the province, and want to make sure that we have this long-term sustainability of those programs is still available to communities going forward.
I'm very cautious of time, and I want to talk about one of the big things that's happened since the last time we chatted, and that is the wildfire situation up in northern Saskatchewan. We are seeing some residents of northern Saskatchewan start heading home. Some are actually starting to re-enter into their old communities, or into their communities, I should say. But on the flip side, we are seeing some municipalities being evacuated, precautiously evacuated because of fires around roads and infrastructure there. Can you give us an update of how the government has handled the last few months around the wildfire situation with alongside local governments?
Well, we've maintained communication with our northern northern municipalities and the affected municipalities within the northern part of our province with respect to the wildfires. I mean, there's been obviously some challenges around logistics, trying to deliver payments to people, trying to ensure that, we're protecting property and lives. Obviously, the number one thing we're looking to protect is human life. Assets, property, obviously all fall into that category. Wildfires are unpredictable. We cannot say that, with any level of certainty that we're going to be able to continually, contain every wildfire that comes out. And when the weather conditions, provide the opportunity for a wildfire to take off, as it did in several instances this spring, we've seen the devastation. And my heart and the heart of my family goes out to those people that lost their homes. I can't imagine what that's like. We haven't, thankfully, we haven't suffered that ourselves, but we really, really think about those people in this time.
Your province rallied around those who were evacuated, and it must give you some pride that the people of Saskatchewan pitched in very quickly when they saw people being evacuated. I was speaking to some people in Regina who were evacuated from Creighton, and they said that it was so wonderful to see that their community, and they didn't even know these people, who were just extending their help to them in their most darkest hours. So as a province, you must be happy that Saskatchewans know how to pitch in when times get tough.
Yeah, it's often said, there's, 1 degree of separation between people in Saskatchewan. Whenever we go somewhere, you run into someone from Saskatchewan, they know at least one person that you know. But when it comes to, our sense of community, that shines through every time there's an emergency, every time that something happens where people need to pitch in and help their neighbor. Saskatchewan people come through every time.
You have been on the travels. I've seen you. I watch your social media on a regular basis, and it seems like you're meeting with municipal leaders from across Saskatchewan over the last few months. What are you hearing from municipal leaders as we enter into the summer months? Because I can imagine your travels are not stopping because it's summer, and they're probably ramping up even harder. But what have you been hearing from municipal leaders over the last few months?
I mean, a lot of the challenges around infrastructure. They're looking for some help. The current funding that we're going to be getting from the federal government that we signed on to, the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, or CHIF as it's commonly known amongst political wonks and people in politics. It covers one aspect of our funding that we need to cover in this province. Like the water, sewer, solid waste infrastructure to support housing, and that's great. What we'd like to see is a reinstitution of ISIP, the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. That program was a tremendous program for municipalities. Obviously, in the large urbans, you want to make sure that your housing infrastructure is in place. The water, sewer, solid waste that I mentioned earlier. But for small urbans and rural Saskatchewan, you know, recreation facilities is huge. It's I would argue that it's every bit as important as clean water and waste management. I mean, it's something that you need to have to build a good community foundation. And the flexibility provided by the ISIP fund, pardon me, provided that opportunity for communities to reinvest into their recreational infrastructure as well as any number of other infrastructure projects.
I've recently sat down with Randy Golden of Summa and Bill Huber from SARM, and they both spoke to me about the need for increased infrastructure funding. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you directly. What has the province done to address some of the infrastructure challenges that municipalities are faced with today? Because as a former Reeve yourself, you know that you're always wanting more, but the province only has one revenue stream, and that is taxes. And you don't want to raise taxes on people, especially during this sort of economic challenging time. So, what have you done? And I say you as the royal you, as the province, done to help municipalities address some of the infrastructure challenges?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're advocating at the federal level. We've just had our meeting again. That was part of our joint meeting with the ministers out in New Brunswick was to raise our voices to the higher level and ensure that they are we're being heard, and so are municipalities across this country. Actually, obviously, our source of pride here is, and you know what I'm going to say, the
Because they
municipal.
both said it to me as well. So don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah, it is a source of pride here. Obviously, it's predictable, it's sustainable, and we're talking about MRS, municipal revenue sharing. Record number again this year. 60, I want to say 66 million going to Saskatoon, 58 million going to Regina. That's a program that is unique within our entire country. Saskatchewan is the only province in the country that delivers 0.75% of our PST directly to municipalities for them to reinvest in any way they want. There are no strings attached. We provide that money to them, and they can place it wherever they feel the need.
There is concern, though, that that pot of money that your MSR, municipal revenue sharing, MRS, sorry, does negatively affects smaller communities rather than the larger urban centers. When I spoke to President Golden, there was speculation that the smaller communities are being left out. They're not getting their fair share, and the cost of a water treatment facility is a little bit more compared to a large community like Saskatoon or Regina. How do you fund smaller communities to ensure that they're getting their fair share, or is it based on population size?
Well, typically what we're still trying to do is ensure that we have a partner in the federal government to be able to backstop or backfill those funding shortfalls if there is such a thing in those small communities. MRS obviously, so they still get a portion of MRS goes to the small urbans and rural communities, but we look for other funding opportunities with our federal partners to be able to provide that to the small urbans and rural communities. Obviously, this CHIF funding, you mentioned water utilities, water treatment plants, and things like that. CHIF will go to fund those. It is a smaller funding allotment this year, but over the course of this program. But we always look to advocate for more, broad and flexible funding for our municipalities throughout the province.
The one thing that I often find funny when speaking to ministers responsible for local governments, in this case, the government relations minister, is you're often called the minister of everything because you get asked about everything when it comes to municipalities, whether it be healthcare, whether it be agriculture, whether it be infrastructure. When you're speaking to municipal leaders, are they sticking to what you're responsible for, or are you hearing the ministry of everything because you're getting asked everything and everything under the bus?
Well, to be fair, I mean we're the conduit for our municipalities within the provincial government. And yes, you're right. We do get asked about everything, and I mean we do have to be fair. Our hand is in almost every realm when it comes to municipal funding and providing those programming and that opportunity for municipalities. So I wear it gladly. I provide answers to questions that I receive that I can answer, and if not, I'll find the answer for them and provide it to them as well, or direct them in a place where they could find it. I mean, the questions that we get obviously are primarily focused on issues affecting municipalities, which does fall into the Ministry of Government Relations. However, yeah, we do get the health questions, the social services questions. Meeting with Mayor Block. Shout out to Mayor Block. We'll have conversations on the houselessness crisis, the addictions issues that they're facing in the large urbans as well as the small urbans. My office is here in Prince Albert, and we've got those kind of same situations happening all around us here. So it's a top of mind concern for our government, and we work as collaboratively as a government to cross ministry to try and tackle these problems and address concerns and provide services to our municipalities.
One last area before I let you go, because I know you're heading out to another event here in a few seconds. So I do want to get this in because it is a topic that I'm hearing a lot from not only Saskatchewan municipalities, but also Alberta municipalities. And our watersheds are so closely interconnected right now. What are you hearing from municipalities around the water usage within Saskatchewan? Because we are seeing drier and drier farmlands out there in the rural parts of the province. And that does not bode well when we're trying to offset some of the challenges we have going on globally with our trade barriers between us and China.
So, I mean, obviously, we've got some reservoirs and some provincially managed, assets or resources that we try to manage through the Water Security Agency. That entity does a very commendable job of ensuring that needs and wants are measured and making sure that people are provided with access to water in every corner of this province. The Water Security Agency also does treatment of water. They run utilities for rural Saskatchewan. They ensure that there's a resource and effectively a utility available to everyone. We're making sure that we collaborate and cooperate with them when it comes time for requests from municipalities for more water. Obviously, there's been some headlines this spring with some conditions that were a little less than ideal for businesses, but we try to make sure that we're balancing those with what we're going to see going forward in the summer. We want to make sure that we have ample supply available for everyone across this province.
Okay, I know I said that was my last question, but you should learn very quickly that on this show, I like to say my last question, then I have like three other follow-ups, but it's about the future. What happens now? So we're recording this the very first week of July. I was going to say September, but it's only July. It seems like September. What do you do now? Are you going to be crisscrossing the province, speaking to mayors from all parts of the province, or are you hoping for them to reach out to you? What do you do now during the summer months to ensure that when you go back to session in October, whenever that may be, you have the information that municipal mayors, reeves are talking about, so that way you can address them when you're in session?
So typically, what we do right now is we're having those stakeholder engagement sessions with mayors and municipalities ongoing. We don't ever stop really. I mean, anytime that we have, we're going to be in a community, we're planning a Saskatoon day or a Regina day. When I'm down there, we'll have those impromptu and meeting requests happen. Whenever they feel the need, they need to have FaceTime with the minister or their MLA. I make myself available to them. We have regular meetings with SUMA and SARM. Obviously, SUMA, we're going to be meeting with them after this call today. So we're going to have a conversation there, and they're going to raise some concerns and probably have some questions and want to they're advocating, doing an effective job of advocating for their member municipalities, which I appreciate and commend, because I was in fact the leader, as you referenced, the leader of one of those municipalities, although on the SARM side, but I was one of those constituent municipal members. But those are the kind of things that are going to be happening. We had planned to do a northern tour, obviously to go up and go and see all the communities and visit with the mayors and leaders up there. Obviously, that had to be postponed until such time that we can get up there and meet with them in a not an emergent situation happening all around us.
So now my final statement, but it's more of an open-ended question. What's your message to municipalities right now? Because this last few months have been challenging for a lot of communities, and we're sort of in this momentary pause where things are looking good, but there are still potential challenges. What's your message to municipalities right now as we head into the summer months and people are trying to get back to a normal way of life in Saskatchewan?
Keep doing what you're doing. Your leadership in these trying times is sorely needed. We have, as I've lamented a few times in conversations with leaders, and I believe I even mentioned it to you, Chris, in conversations we've had, informally, volunteerism, municipal leadership, all of these things are on the decline. People are having less time or feel they have less time to put their name forward, to stand for municipal leadership, to volunteer for their Rotary Club or their Kinsman Club or whatever the service club may be. And we're seeing a decline in that. And it's something that we need to be, keeping an eye on. That's something that really shows the sense of community around this province. If you have people willing to step forward and put their names on a ballot or put their names on a list of volunteers to help their community, those things are important across this province. We're seeing it again, seeing a decline in that. I'd like to encourage people, if you have some time, if you have a moment to spare, volunteer to coach a softball team, volunteer to put your name forward for council. We need good people. We need to have articulate voices to come forward and provide us with feedback as the provincial government. Provide us with with information. Don't hesitate to reach out. You know, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, anytime that you have a concern or want to have an issue addressed at your local level, please reach out to your local MLA. Give us a call at a ministry level if you don't have a government MLA in your constituency. Just have a conversation with us. We're more than willing to talk about any of the concerns you have.
Minister, always a pleasure to sit down with you. I feel like this is the start of a beautiful friendship, to quote Casablanca. So thank you so much. Always a pleasure to chat with you. And I look forward to having a continued conversation about the life of local governance in the province of Saskatchewan. So thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine, Chris. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Municipal Affairs. Now, we hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and gained some valuable insights into the world of Saskatchewan politics through the local lens. We will also want to thank our guests for sitting down with us today. Now, if you've enjoyed today's episode, do not forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platforms or by visiting us on YouTube at Cross Border Network. Now, to learn more about the peoples and the communities that we feature on this show and our sister shows, visit us online at crossborderinterviews.ca. Your support means the world to us, so if you can, share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll be back with a brand new episode of Municipal Affairs shortly. Till then, everyone.